tools useful in 3D printing. I'm Colin, the older Lazier 3D printing nerd. As an older Lazier guy, I generally don't go out and buy extra tools for things. So let's look at the tools that you might need and what you might already have on hand. First, Joel discussed flush cutters. Flush cutters are handy. Here's your flush cutter. Wire cutters work just as well, and they actually have less surface contact, so you might be able to get into smaller areas with them. And you're more likely to have them around the house already. That said, flush cutters typically come with your 3D printing kit anyway, so you're likely to end up with a pair, at least one. Needle nose pliers, very handy. Joel made the point that the spring works on his and that matters. Mine, the spring is bent. They still work just as well. Also, the head is bent. I find this very handy because, again, you can get into smaller areas, pull material out of crevices and so on. Other print cleanup tools that might be useful are component pullers. This is for a circuit board, but again, it works very nicely when you're pulling support material out of various tiny locations in a 3D print. Another finishing tool that comes in handy that Joel didn't mention is a blowtorch. Get yourself one, because you don't really want to be messing around with acetone for finishing prints. A good flashlight is important. This one was mentioned in the comments on to Joel's video. You're better off getting an LED flashlight that is not only a flashlight, but also what they call an inspection light, which has a much larger LED area mounted on the side of the flashlight. And this one is very handy. It has a magnetic back and is chargeable via USB. Very cheap. You can pull it. You can get them on Amazon. Joel also discussed print removal tools. Your basic paint scraper works nicely. Sharpen the edge, you'll do just perfectly well. 5-in-1 painting tool works similarly. Sharpen the edge, works just nicely. Also, you can sharpen the curved edge and scrape material off of your prints, as well as remove your prints from the print bed. Let's look for a moment at tweezers. As Joel pointed out, very handy. Get yourself some electronics tweezers that operate in reverse. That is, you press to open them rather than press to close them. The deficiency on these is they're not insulated, and these things do heat up. If you're playing around with material on a molten material on a 200-degree hot end, your tweezers will heat up quite quickly. Get yourself some tweezers with a little bit of insulation on them, or if you don't have insulated tweezers, get some tool dip. Works perfectly well, and every few degrees that you don't have to endure with your fingers is a few degrees you'll be happier. Joel also discussed hex keys. A very important tool because most 3D printers, at least in the RepRap world, are Prusa derived, and Joseph Prusa, being in Eastern Europe, has everything marked in hex, and so every kit you get is going to require hex keys, marked metric, and everything you're going to get requires hex keys. You will get a set of hex keys with your printer. Joel suggests you throw them out. I suggest you don't. Instead, go print yourself a little parametric hex key holder, keep them all together, And at the very least, you'll know what sizes of hex key you're going to need when you go buy yourself a set of heavier duty hex keys. Personally, I don't throw these things out. They're not of great quality and they will eventually get rounded off, but it doesn't matter. They're still hex keys and they're useful until they're not. The wrenches, on the other hand, are very low quality, the ones you get with these kits. This is where you want to immediately make sure that you have your own set of wrenches. Get yourself a variety. Get a slip jaw wrench and an adjustable wrench. Size matters. In this case, smaller is better. Get a nice little adjustable wrench, a little slip jaw wrench. Works wonders for you, especially when you have to deal with open bilge wheels, where you do need a variety of wrenches working with them simultaneously. What have we got left? Oh, other materials for printer maintenance. Get yourself some WD-40 Specialist silicone lubricant. You'll note that actual WD-40, the product for which the brand name is best known, is theoretically not a lubricant. It's a rust remover, it's a water displacer, it's theoretically not a lubricant. The silicone lubricant is a mid-range high-temperature lubricant suitable for bearings and rods in your 3D printer. The other option, of course, is heavy grease to really do a good job with your bearings, but most 3D printers are not located in a shop environment, and you don't want to be dealing with heavy grease in those environments, in office environments, and environments that are not utility or shop environments, that is to say. The other tool that Joel specifically neglected to mention, digital calipers. Get yourself a good pair of digital calipers. They're cheap and they'll hold you in good stead. You won't need them to print, but you will need them to design anything that you're working on, especially if you're designing from a real-world object or to fit a real-world object. In the design arena, I recommend Onshape and Fusion 360. Fusion 360 is a partial desktop application. That is, there is a client that runs on your desktop, even though it is a cloud application. So it does require a bit of horsepower from your computer. And that, I think, does it for 3D printing tools. Now, it's worth pointing out here that most nerds already have most of these tools. Most nerds have an electronics kit that has your various wrenches and screwdrivers and hex keys and so on. If you don't, I congratulate you because you are at the vanguard. You are among the non-nerd population that has adopted consumer-grade 3D printing. And to that extent, I congratulate Joel as well for being a futurist and knowing that there is a population out there of non-nerds who don't already possess most, if not all, of these tools. And that is a good sign that the popularity of consumer-grade 3D printing is moving beyond the technical population, the tinkerer population, to the rest of those home users who might benefit from being able to make something rather than having to go out and buy a replacement item, which I think is really the true value of 3D printing. Thanks for listening, and have a good evening.